everyone. I am here with Mary Setrakian. Thank you so much for being with us. Welcome.
Thank you, Roseanne. So great to be with you.
The same. I was actually curious because you just published your Italian version of your book. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's in process. It's going to be ready in November. Here's
So
the English
exciting.
version, Sing Find Your True Voice.
I love
And it's
it.
going to be in Italian. I'm going on my book tour in November in Italy. So it'll be Sing Trova la tua voce. That's what it is in Italian.
Wow, yeah, because I was wondering if you actually do you speak Italian?
I do now. Yeah, I've been studying.
I do now.
Yeah, I've been going there since 2005. So I've just kept studying and studying. I've always
Nice.
sung in Italian because I have a master's in voice, so I've always sung in it. And now I'm teaching my workshops in Italian without a
Wow.
translator. So I'm I'm kind of pinching myself. I didn't know I could do that. So it's really
That's
fun.
extremely, that's very impressive.
Thank you. It's been really a fun journey. You just have to, do it every week, and I have a wonderful teacher, so it's really fun.
Be diligent in it.
Yep.
Because I was wondering if you were Italian. Do you have Italian roots?
Well, I'm Armenian on my father's
Ooh.
side, and I'm English Scotch on my mother's side. But I haven't done that DNA test, but my brother did. And there's a little smidge of Italian in there. So I don't know. I'm just passionate about Italy. It
Yeah.
just seems to be. We all go back to Rome. I guess in the
Yeah.
old days, Armenia was very close to the Roman Empire. So,
Yeah. Yeah. There may actually be even more Italian in you than
yeah,
the DNA test would say. Yes.
yeah, I think so.
I love that. Okay, so I know that you have a very specific message and for singers, and what really stood out to me is that you actually connect finding your voice with finding true freedom, but also fulfillment in singing. And so I'm really excited for the audience to hear all about that because those aren't always messages that are connected to singing. So, and it is what we need. It's really what we need. So first of all, why don't you share a little bit about your journey as a singer and a vocal coach?
Oh, wonderful. I love that question. So, yes, what happened for me is I fell in love with singing. My dad was a singer. He had me and my brothers around a reel-to-reel tape recorder when we were, when I was 3 years old. So, I really had a passion to sing. So, I went to college. I got a master's in voice. I thought, you know what? I want to go on Broadway. So, I moved to New York. And what happened is that I could book off Broadway, light opera. I was in what's called Light Opera Manhattan, the repertory company, but I couldn't book those Broadway jobs. So I knew something was missing.
Mm.
And I went on a search for an acting coach. The story is actually in my book. And after some ups and downs, I found Susan Batson. And what happened is she taught me how to connect my true emotions my
Mm.
book with my voice. So
Wow.
it turns out that I was like growing up the good girl, and in a family, a wonderful family, but it was sort of, happy is good and sad is bad.
Mm.
So when I discovered through acting that actually all the emotions are
Wow.
necessary, and when you open up and let those painful emotions out and connect them with your voice, suddenly magic happens. Not
Wow.
only in the voice, but also in your life, because it's very healing. You have to, as we say, go through it, not around it. And
Mm.
when you go through those emotions, something happens that you're connecting a truth with your voice. And then when you're able to release those emotions in life, you're able to heal.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. Because would you say that going through those emotions also change how often you have negative emotions? Or like, what would you say about that?
I would say that we're all carrying around these emotions, which we call in acting the need, which is unfulfilled, like the need to be loved and the need to be seen and the need to be heard. And so we're all, that's how it is to be human. So when you understand this and connect to it and you go through it, it's very liberating. I would say that you find out who you are. For example, most artists who are tuning in, and for myself, and I'm sure you too, Roseanne, we're very sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
We're
Yeah.
more sensitive probably than the average person, because
Yeah.
artistry is our calling. So
Yeah.
we have to sit with whatever the truth is. If
Yeah.
you're and you might, like, I probably cry every day at some point in my privacy,
Yeah.
and it's not painful. It's sort of liberating, and it's so wonderful to understand who am I, what am I going through, how do I get to the next level. So it's really discovering who you are. It's not cookie cutter, everybody's not the same, but
Yeah.
I bet you anything, everybody who's tuning in, we're all very sensitive, and we
Yeah.
embrace that.
Yeah, I love that. Like seeing it as a gift rather than a curse.
Brava, that's the deal. It is your gift. When you're sobbing on the floor, I would be in class with my teacher, and the person that's freaking out, that is a gift. That's a gift that you have that depth. That means you can play every role. Now,
Yeah.
it's a hardship in life because in our cultures we say hold it together, stiff
Yeah.
up a lip, don't don't show your emotions, don't. And
Ah,
so that's why it becomes difficult because it's not accepted.
yeah.
But we're lucky because we can put it then to our singing. You're crying, get your favorite song about
Yeah.
love and sing through it, and it's genius. And it also releases you, and at the end of the song you feel so wonderful.
Yeah.
So we have a great gift in that we also get to use our
Oh.
artistry through all that pain.
Oh, I love that. It's like you can use it to tell stories and to be have it being a gift for others, but then it's also a gift for you. Wow.
Oh, that's really insightful because like I said, maybe others are in the audience and their gift isn't to act and sing. They have other fantastic gifts,
Yeah.
but they come to see us
Yeah.
to release them. So if you're telling your truth, not acting something or trying to pretend that you're doing it, if you're really in a truth, it universally responds to the audience. So they don't think about what is Roseanne thinking of or what is Mary
Yeah.
thinking of. They go, oh, she understands me. That happened to me. Oh my God, the guy that got away and now she's singing about it. And now I can release my pain. That's what happens
Wow.
in the truth.
Wow. I love it. I'm so moved by how you explain this.
Oh, thank you. There's a story in my book about me going to see Bernadette Peters on Broadway. She was in a show called Song and Dance. And there she was, alone on the stage, had just broken up with her boyfriend. She's sobbing and singing through it, like she's so gifted, sobbing, reaching to this man that wasn't on the stage. She had him there in front of her, and she was reaching to him, sobbing. And I had just gone through, actually it wasn't even a real romance. It was just somebody that said no, and I was sobbing, and as if she understood me. And I hadn't studied yet with Susan, but I look back on that and go, oh, I understood something there. I'd never seen anything like it on a stage, and I knew that was the key to be a real performer.
Wow, that's incredible. So, what would you say are some practical ways to get to that vulnerability or to step out in vulnerability?
I love that. Yeah. Okay, well, the first thing you can do is go through the day and not cross your legs and not cross your arms in front of you.
Whoa.
Said the word practical, let's go practical.
Yeah.
When we do that, I start every class with everybody. That's a rule in my class that you're really not allowed to cross anything during class.
Oh,
The classes are 6 hours long. So what that means is we're staying open. Now, there might be times, I live in New York City. I mean, when you're on the subway, you don't want to be sharing your vulnerability. That's a good time to cross.
Yeah.
But what I'm talking about is really when you're sharing, like here I am sharing with you, Roseanne. I'm not going to cross my arms and cross my legs right now. I'm going to stay open so that I can really share. So that's one practical thing.
Yeah.
Um,
I
uh,
just uncrossed my legs when you
right?
said that.
Oh, good girl. Okay. Good woman. Favorite
Yeah.
cross? There you go. And you'll notice on TV, like I watch from Oprah to newscasters, they often have their legs crossed. And it's a way to protect. It's a way to protect and
Mm.
not really share.
Yeah.
Um, but when they open, it's very interesting to see who is open. And you can see the difference. You can really see the difference.
Yeah. I
So
bet I'll be looking at that now. Like I'll be watching for it now.
yeah, yeah, take a look.
Yeah.
Well, another thing is just what we just touched on before is to just sit in those emotions.
Yeah.
For example, like I think when I was young, if I got emotional, I would probably go get ice cream and eat ice cream instead. Like we
Mm.
often do things like that to push those emotions away. So to rather than reach for the ice cream, just sit and hang out with those emotions. And also, I went to therapy. I mean, that really helped me a lot. If you get a good therapist, that can be something that's truly helpful to because I went because I wanted my emotions to be available for my acting, and which helped, but it also helped my life.
Yeah.
So it can be very helpful.
Yeah. What I actually love in this time era is I feel like the taboo gets off therapy, going to therapy. It,
Yeah, no taboo. Now, you want to pick somebody good. Like
yeah.
I always say, if you interview a few people, see, get recommendations from your dear friends who are doing really well,
Yeah.
and things like that. You want to use your gut to really, because there are people out there that aren't maybe a good match or don't have the experience that you need.
Yeah.
So, and that's for a voice teacher as well. You really want to use your gut. If it feels
Yeah.
like it resonates with you, go for it. If it doesn't, move on. Very
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. So I'm just curious because you've worked with a lot of singers, and when they practice vulnerability, do you um, obviously it's for their own well-being and for bringing the story across. It's already super helpful for that. But do you actually hear a difference in the sound?
It's incredible, Roseanne. It's a sound that I can't teach them.
Wow.
Now, heads up, when you're first starting it, you might be sobbing, and I'm saying sing through it, and it might sound awful because you're going, oh, and they say, oh, I can't do it.
Yeah.
And that's why many, for example, I've heard that opera teachers, which I've had the best opera teachers, but they would say put the emotions aside. No, 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 no. You want to sing through it, more like a Maria Callas. That's why she was so famous. She would sing through those emotions. So what happens is the voice, it goes to another level when you become the vessel. And
Yeah.
of course, technique is super important too. In my method, I have 5 elements of voice technique and 5 elements of what I call the emotional life, which are really acting tools, but they're really how to get to the emotions. And when you put them together, I mean, I've had students who sing off pitch, like you would probably say they're tone deaf. And at the end, because they're sending a story, the pitches all
Whoa.
line up. The voice changes. It
Whoa.
becomes beautiful, and the tone deaf goes away. They can suddenly sing. It's
So
it, it's a miracle. It's magic.
yeah, I just want to say that literally changes their life in one day.
That's right. And I
Wow.
always say that the voice, it's a spiritual communication. And so many people tell you when you're young, if you're somebody who, doesn't sing gloriously at the beginning, they'll say, be quiet, don't sing. If you, if, and yes, there are many gifts. Different people have different gifts, absolutely. But if you're told don't sing, now you shut off a spiritual communication channel for yourself. It's not fair. So
Yeah.
I'm very passionate about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you believe there are many people that are actually shut off and they're not even aware of the potential they have because of it?
Oh yes, I've come across. I've had so many people. I'm very available online for people to ask me questions, and
Yeah.
I just got a question from a young man from Iraq. He reached out to me and he said, "It's my dream to be a singer, and everybody tells me I have a horrible voice. And
Mm,
I found your book, and could you help me because I've gone through the breath." He really went through everything. And for him, this is just an individual story. He was holding his jaw super tight. He sent me a video. It was like, "Arr!" And I said, "Listen, open your mouth, release the jaw." And now he's having his glorious voice is being released.
wow.
Yeah, and there are those who don't think they're singers, and also speaking. Singing is out of talking. So just to get your speaking voice in line
Yeah.
is a huge gift.
Yeah. 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 That's one thing I feel like a lot of singers don't even realize the connection between the speaking and the singing voice.
And
Yeah.
in this day and age, it's you're in that generation, but you don't have this, thank God. The younger generations, they are, it's called vocal fry, where
Yeah.
they're
Oh,
feeling
yeah.
in their voices. So they're going, "Hi, how you doing? What's going on?"
Yeah.
And they think what's interesting is they think they're being emotional. They think they're connecting to their emotions and sharing. They're actually pushing them down and protecting them, kind of like crossing your arms.
Oh,
And they're also damaging their voice because their
yeah.
vocal cords are now rubbing together, and it can be very dangerous in the long run. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
I think everybody, if you have vocal cords, you have the right to your voice.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, I love that. Can you say that again?
If you have vocal cords, you have a birthright to
Wow.
your voice.
Wow. I just feel like that releases so much freedom just you saying that.
Yay! I love that. Good. That's the point, isn't it? Give us permission.
Yes.
Permission is everything.
Yes, it's true. It's true. Let's talk a little bit about the technical part. What would be some exercises that you have seen do miracles with students? Or is there like a silver lining of I have so much results when we use these exercises?
Yes. So, this is to say, I have a YouTube channel, and everybody can go there and work with me there. They're like 25 free tutorials. But you'll notice in the videos and in my book and in my practice, the first three essential elements are on the technique side.
Mm,
That's the breath, which when I say the breath, I mean inhale,
yeah,
the support,
yeah,
which is connected to the exhale, and the resonance, how you resonate your voice. So it's been incredible. I share a lot of stories with often what happens, like for example, the first element, the breath, the inhale. Many people do what I call is the panic breath. So they'll breathe up high in their chest, like up here.
yeah,
Now, what we're learning is how the body actually works. The same breath you use when you're sleeping at night and not thinking about it. So isn't it interesting that we change it when we're awake?
yeah,
Why would we do that? So
yeah,
the high breath, the usual, everybody's different, but the usual reason, if they're breathing high up here, usually it means that you're avoiding your emotions. Why? Because if we're breathing above it, we can't feel it. If you go into the true breath, was at the bottom of the lungs, and this whole thing about the diaphragm and what the diaphragm does, just understanding how it works in your body. If you're
yeah,
doing that easy, effortless, what I call economical breath, it's
yeah,
going to send you to your true emotions.
yeah,
And as we said before, our culture says don't feel those emotions, it's too
yeah,
much.
yeah.
So that is so huge. And I have so many stories in my book about people just finding the breath and what happens. A
Wow.
very extreme story I can say really quickly is Nina, who gave me permission to use her story. She was in a class with me, and she came in and she was breathing high, and she has a naturally high voice, but it was extra high. She was like,
Yeah.
"Hi, Nina. I know I had problems because my mother always tried to commit suicide when I was a kid. So I know that, can you help me with my voice?" And she was up here like this. So, obviously trauma from
Yeah.
childhood.
Yeah.
I said, a lot of emotions are come up. Are you okay with that? And she goes, "Oh yes, I've been in
Yeah.
therapy, and so I'm ready for this." I said, "Okay." And sure enough, the first natural breath she took without being up here she just tears started rolling down her face. And I said, okay, everybody, is it okay if Nina cries the whole class? And they're like, yes.
Oh, wow.
And so she kept using the breath, and during the break, she was in the bathroom, and somebody ran to me and said, "Mary, Nina's getting sick in the bathroom." I said, "Okay." So I went in the bathroom. I said, "Nina, are you okay?" And she goes, "Oh yes, I'm just throwing up and having diarrhea. I'll be right there." So it's a big example, but can you imagine all that trauma now is
Yeah.
literally releasing?
Yes.
And sure enough, she came back to class, which takes a lot of courage.
Yeah.
And and she stayed in it, and she came to the class the next week. That never happened again. She went off to be doing acting. She had a one woman show singing. She's now a famous photographer. She's quite remarkable. But it's like getting your truth back.
Yeah.
So so
Yeah.
just the breath, and support is another one. It's a long conversation, but
Mm.
teachers don't teach it correctly. It's how
Yeah.
the body works. Like
Yeah.
when we sneeze, we go achoo. That action of the belly button moving in when we say achoo, that does it creates a pressure so the vocal cords don't hit each other.
Yeah.
So we're honing that action of the belly button moving in. Try with me, Roseanne. We're going to do an S. So we're going to take a breath at the bottom of the lungs, and your tummy's going to release
Yeah.
because the diaphragm's dropping down. So we're gonna bring the belly button in on an S, like perfect. Now everybody notice Roseanne's sternum and mine too are popping out when we do the S. It swings in. Try that again. Yeah, that means we're perfect. So all we're doing is making sure the belly button swings in.
Yeah.
That's the same action that we have when we go achoo. So that S is a really good exercise. Then we put lip trill on it. The belly button's always moving in. It's like this it's always sending. We're never holding. If somebody tells you to hold,
Yeah.
then they're wrong. That's why I call my method the revolutionary send. We're always sending. So try a lip trill, honey. We're gonna
Yeah.
the same thing. The belly button's gonna move in.
So gradually it's going to move in
Move
gradually.
the belly button in. Don't even worry about it. Just
Okay.
move it in. Just go lip trill, send me. It's like the motor, like this motion of the belly button moving in,
Yeah.
motor of the lips vibrating.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Excellent. Good.
Okay.
We want the neck nice and free, so even move the neck as you do that. The belly button moving in is our motor. And move the neck a little side to side. So you had a tiny bit of tension holding there,
Ah.
and I saw it, so I just said, move that. Now you're the vessel. So that's a great way to start to get these connections.
Wow.
And then there are elements about singing high notes through the physics, and about singing to somebody who from your life. That's called personalization. That's going to get you to your emotions. So but these three elements are really important.
Yeah.
Just to say quickly, since we're on it, we talked about vocal fry, where
Yeah.
people are talking in their voice, talking in their throat.
Yeah.
Instead, we're going to move that vibration to what I call the front passage, like these resonators. This is bones and cartilage. They surround air pockets and they vibrate. So these are the speakers,
Yeah.
rather than here trying to make
Yeah.
We're going to go, try that. Yes. And I had you chew. You're so great. You knew to chew. Just because if we're moving it, we can't lock it like my student from Iraq. He was locking, going, me, me, ma. So it was getting this sort of weird tension in his tone. Me, ma. That's just vibrating. Yeah.
Yeah.
And notice
It's
that you and I
addicting.
Yes, it is. And notice that we're both speaking through, like you put the words here.
Yeah.
Hello. Hi, Roseanne. How are you? And there we are. We're in our effortless.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that word effortless, because I feel like so many singers put so much effort on, like, oh, my voice has got to sound like this, or I have to practice this. And then it's not meant to be that way. We're made to sing, in my opinion. So
I agree.
It's supposed to
And
be effortless. Yeah.
effortless, and that doesn't mean relaxed
Yes.
because we're using energy from the belly button moving in. We're not holding it, we're
Yeah.
swinging it in like this. So that's energy. Now I told you to release
Ah,
your head.
yeah.
Yes. So we become the vessel of that. So sometimes when you relax, everything's relaxed.
Yeah.
That's not technique. That's just
Yeah.
relax. Now, a yoga teacher might have you on the floor and you might be relaxed. That's great for an exercise. But we're
Yeah.
really we're honing it. So I love that. That's great. So that makes it effortless.
Yeah. That's so good, Mary. Thank you for
You know
sharing.
what I'd love to say too,
Yeah.
to piggyback on that, is
Yeah.
instead of trying to go for perfection, like you said so perfectly, people are like, I need to be perfect. Try to get higher percentages. My teacher, Joan Heller,
Mm.
she was my favorite technician teacher. She was amazing. And she'd always say, we're always going for higher percentages, not trying to be perfect.
Yeah.
Also, awareness, like, oh, I'm aware that I did a high breath.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a high breath. How do I get out of that? Okay, I gotta try this other one again. And then if you get a higher percentage, wow, only 10% was a high breath that time. And you're aware of the difference, you're winning.
Ah, wow. I think that goes really well with the gratitude as well, like seeing the little steps of growth. It actually helps you get further. I believe that's how it
You
works.
are so right. The minute I get frustrated or I want something else or I'm like in a conflict with,
Yeah.
somebody says something, that's not even about me that I just get mad at. I always try to go to gratitude. That gets us out of the analytical part of our brain and puts us into the creative part. So we're just in gratitude, it changes everything. You can change your emotion like that with being
Wow.
grateful. I love that.
Wow. Well, I just wanted to create some space for you. Is there anything you really would like to share before we lead them to all the great things that you have
Oh,
to offer?
well, let's see. Uh, you had asked me a question once before about about a successful career. I don't know
Yeah.
if, uh, and I was sort of pondering that question about how to be successful in a career that's successful, and
Yeah.
in singing in particularly. And there's such a big percentage is perseverance. So
Mm.
it's perseverance, and if you love it and it doesn't even feel like an effort, then it's what you should be doing. I mean, if there's something else you love,
Yeah.
definitely do that. We can certainly carve out our own lives. Like,
Yeah.
I never thought I'd be teaching, and it turns out that it's something that I'm meant to be doing, and
Mm.
I'm finding so much gratitude and joy in it. And I'm still performing. I'm also, sing with orchestras or do my own cabaret shows. I prefer that. I mean, 8 shows a week on Broadway is not easy. you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
By the way, after I worked with Susan Batson, all my Broadway dreams came true. I booked Les Mis. I was touring with that for 2 years. I was on Broadway with Hello Dolly.
Well,
Uh, this is Sweeney Todd. I did regionally. So it was so cool because all my dreams came true. But it's perseverance, and it's also the joy of continuing to study. I do teach some stars. Like, I prepared Nicole Kidman for Moulin Rouge, for her audition for Moulin Rouge, actually, because Baz Luhrmann wanted to know if she could sing. And what I note in her career from those many years ago to now, she also studies with my teacher, Susan Batson. So that's how I got the introduction. She was really my first voice student, quite frankly. It was so,
wow. Great start.
yeah, it was a good start. Um, but she calls Susan for every role that she has. She knows that she wants the best, because when we're the instrument,
Yeah.
it's just so important. I work with Kerry Washington. She was on Broadway more recently in American Son 10 years ago in another play, and she wanted me to help her to really stay, to get her voice. She didn't want to sing, actually. She wanted to make sure she could speak through those huge emotions, because it was a lot
Wow.
of devastating emotions, with great health, with great technique.
Mm.
And I ended up making her sing because she's got such a beautiful voice. But what I note about her and the other stars, Forrest Whitaker, these other just beautiful Michael Bolton, an amazing singer who's in his 70s, who's still singing. They want the work. They want to keep working. It's not just like, oh, I've done it now. Now I
Yeah.
know it. I think that's my personal opinion and my view of those who are really hitting the pinnacle through the decades of their careers. It's because they love the work and they're curious about the work and they stay in the work.
Wow.
So that to me is a really important ingredient.
Yeah, I think that's also something that people don't always hear. They think if I'm meant to be doing this, it should be easy and effortless at all times. And so I think this is a really good word to know that when challenges come, you got to persevere.
You've got to persevere, and you've got to get help from the experts,
Yeah.
because and again, it's the joy of the work, it's the joy of discovery,
Yeah.
and it's an art form. To
Yeah.
drop into your emotions and be able to sing through it like that, that's an art form. That's not just, therapy and oh, they're just talented, they get up there and do that. Oh, those
Yeah.
kids are talented. It's really an art form, and it's not their fault. We have the reality shows these days, and they show people from nowhere get up and they sing on a show and they get famous, and then they do really well. But we also see those young people crashing and burning, don't we?
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
see them going into absolute hell because they never had a foundation. They didn't really, they feel like they're imposters, because they haven't really done the work. And so it's just super important, I think, for your confidence and
Yeah.
just create a great life that has real roots. Think of a tree, like the roots, and they're not gonna just fly away and crash and burn. So it's in our culture, as you pointed out. It's not normal. Now in my day, that's what you did,
Yeah.
but nowadays it's like, oh, you just do something and you get famous.
Yeah.
And personality, you can do that on Instagram and be, somebody who everybody watches, and that's fun. I'm not saying that's wrong, but
Yeah.
it's different than being a singing artist.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So I did wanted to ask you this final question about what would you say brings fulfillment in like the long haul when it comes to singing?
Mm. Well, for me, it's that old adage of just really enjoying the journey.
Yeah.
Like, I look back on my career now to those painful times where I was in class 3 times a week. I couldn't cry at first, and then I was crying and I couldn't stop and I didn't know why. And my
Yeah.
teacher was like, just keep crying, Mary, just keep crying, and it's your turn, get up and work. And I realized those were really precious times because I was in the work. So it's just really enjoying where you are now and committing to it, that commitment.
Yeah.
And yes, you have goals. I think goals are always wonderful. But when you're at, and to, the universe is conspiring with you. That's what I always think. So I, get your own, whatever your spiritual life might be, enjoy that and have that, and always ask for something. Say, I want this or something better. Put that in the frame.
Ooh, yeah, I love that.
You don't know. There might be
Yeah.
something better that you're not even thinking of. So, like, please, I want this Broadway show. And it's like, or something better, because sometimes when you don't get it, something else shows up and you
Yeah.
wouldn't have gotten that. That's happened to me
Yeah.
before. And you're kind of like, oh, I needed to be there. So
Yes.
don't think that the losses and the rejections are necessarily bad. Something's on your way. And I heard a famous actress recently say she was so glad for not working all those years, because now when she has a job, she's so grateful. Back to gratitude.
Yeah.
She has gratitude for that job.
Wow. Yeah, sometimes we don't know what we need as well, right? Or what gives true joy.
When I first booked Les Mis, that was my first big Broadway, it was on tour, my first big Broadway tour. And I was on tour for almost 2 years. I was able to get out of debt and because I was, doing therapy, so I needed to pay off my debts.
Yeah.
And I was cast as a swing, which meant I understudied 12 roles. And at first I was
Oh,
like, why did I get cast as a swing for 12 roles? I'm not on stage every night. I was everybody's understudy.
wow.
And of course, this is the beginning of my career. I'm in my 20s, and I was like, and the minute I understood that I was there to serve, I was there to serve everybody if they went on a vacation, if they got sick, if they got hurt. And I got to study all 12 roles. I got to go on and do two featured roles at a time sometimes. And I got to rest off stage. So, and it also prepared me to understand what the chorus really did. And
Yeah.
so when I was cast as the lead, like Madame Giry and Phantom, I toured for a year in that Broadway tour. I was Eva Peron on Broadway, not on Broadway, on in Germany. How you understand how to be gracious to the cast. You understand what their work is. You know, it's so important that the person at the top is gracious and has respect and understanding of the crew, of the chorus, of the.
Yeah.
So anyway, it did prepare me. I didn't know why, and now I'm so grateful that that's how it began.
Yeah.
I really had, and then when I understood that it's my job to serve, it
Yeah.
wasn't such a hardship. I loved it. It was really fun.
Wow. I feel like that's so true to also finding the fulfillment in singing. If you realize, I'm not saying it's never about us because it's okay to know your self-worth. It's okay to
Absolutely.
praise who you are, to enjoy yourself. But I feel like if we take all weight off of us and we put it on we're serving others, I believe that leads to true fulfillment.
I'm with you. And I've seen on Broadway, like you're on Broadway and everybody is living their dream. But what happens is that the person in the chorus wants to be the understudy. The
Yeah.
understudy wants to be the lead. The lead wants to be Bernadette Peters. Like everybody, not everybody, but it can happen that
Yeah.
everybody is like saying, I don't like where I am. I want to be over
Ooh.
there.
Yeah.
Rather than this is what I'm doing now. Yes, I want to be an understudy. Yes, I want to be the lead. I'm working toward that. But really enjoy where you are now. That's when you get magic. That's when
Yeah.
you're fulfilled. Otherwise, you're never happy with where you are.
Yeah.
You've got a Broadway show, that's really hard to get. You've got it and you're not happy with where you are. Like I observed that happening and it's like, no, no, no.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Well, Mary, why don't you share where we can find your books, the title, where we can find you on YouTube? Share all you want to share about it.
Oh, you're so darling. Thank you. I'm so passionate to share the work that changed my life. That's what I'm so passionate about. So here's my book, Sing, Find Your True Voice. So if it's on Amazon, it's in hard copy, paperback, Kindle, and it's all around the world. So whatever country you're in, just go to Amazon where you buy Amazon. I also did an audiobook and
Oh,
I narrate it. So it's kind of like having a voice lesson with me through the book in your
oh,
back
that's
pocket. So
cool.
that's really cool. I have a wonderful team of friends who are amazing musicians. And so we did the audiobook together in Los Angeles. So that was really, really cool. It is coming back we started, it is coming out in Italian. So that will be
Yeah.
in November. So it's also, if you're in New York City, there are signed copies over at the Drama Bookshop. It's an iconic bookshop in New York City where you'll find everything theater, everything film and theater there.
Wow.
So it's there. Then I during the quarantine, I started my YouTube quarantine voice lessons, and I've continued ever since then. So if you go to youtube.com/ at Mary Setrakian, you'll find my channel, and I do come on live from time to time, so you can join me live,
Oh,
and I
that's
take
exciting.
questions. And but there are 25 tutorials, so if any of this information has made you curious, please go on and you can sing with me. And I really go through every detail that's in the book, so it's a great addition to the book if
Yeah.
you want to do that. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook. So right now, I take questions, and if you reach out to me and you'd like me to diagnose something about, like this young man from Iraq, I'm really happy to diagnose what you might need. Just send me a message. It's probably best to go through my website, which is
Yeah.
marysetrakian.com, and just go to the contact page, and you can reach me there. So we can figure it out together. Yeah.
I love that. You're so generous.
Well, it's important to me to share. I mean, maybe when I get too busy, I'll have to say I can't right now, but right
Right.
now it's fine with me. So
I love it.
I'd love to share that. Thank you, Roseanne. And thank you so much, honey, for having me in this wonderful summit. You're so amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I love your message and your passion for the voice. It's really terrific. So thank you for including me.
Well, I appreciate that. That is such a gift to get a compliment at the end of this.
Well,
But
you
it,
deserve it. You're amazing. You work really hard. Oh my goodness.
thank you. Well, I really had such a joy having you with us. I just know that this is going to speak to so many people, and it actually it can change their lives. So yeah, so for everyone out there, there's a link below that you can click on to go to Mary's content. And thank you for being with us today.